Yep.
A little poke.
Is it a problem I have these massive deltoid muscles? Alright, I don't want to break the shot. This is from my YouTube channel, Tactical Gary. Check it out. Stay tactical. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tactical Gary. I'm on my way up to northern New York. Driving several hours this morning to get my coronavirus vaccine. Now I know a lot of you are shocked to hear that. You're saying, wait a minute, Tactical Gary, aren't you a big 2A guy? Aren't you a prepper? Well, yes, I am a big 2A guy. Yes, I am a prepper. And knowing those two data points, you can create a very interesting statistical model where you probably can say that 95% of those who are preppers and are big 2A guys are not going to get the vaccine. And they're probably talking all sorts of stuff about the vaccine. Well, I have no problem with that. I think everyone has their personal choice. My body, my choice. The same principle applies here. But at the same time, Tactical Gary is all about being tactical. And what is being tactical? Being tactical is always putting yourself into the best position of advantage. What is the maximal point of advantage I can have? And many tactical steps are often part of some larger strategy. And our main strategy as a prepper is to survive. Our best tool is our rational mind. Our rational mind is our ability to think rationally and independently, despite what the crowd goes with. A lot of preppers are conspiracy theorists. I'm a huge conspiracy theorist. But does that mean that we have to take as the axiom, the ground point of truth, that everything has to be a conspiracy? Well, many things are a conspiracy. But at the end of the day, you just have to look at life with each thing independently and say, well, let me look at the facts. And let us look at the facts. The facts are, when you look into the mRNA, messenger RNA technology, you can form your own conclusions. I've done my research, and I think that the rewards far outweigh the risks in this scenario, in this coronavirus situation. This is not a public service announcement. I'm not going to tell you to try to get the vax. I'm going to tell you to try to be an independent thinker. I'm not going to tell you not to get the vax, that's for sure. That would be pretty hypocritical. But I am going to tell you to be an independent thinker about all things. Don't take your gray man persona too seriously. Yes, it is often wise to blend in with the crowd, but it is very rarely wise to think like the crowd. And that goes for the right, it goes for the left, it goes for people who think that they're so pro-science, they think that they always listen to the science. That is, until the scientists start saying things they don't like, and then they try to cancel those scientists. Happens all the time. I see it every day. But the people who really listen to the science and who are rational thinkers cast a very wide net. And in that wide net of information, they pull in a lot of junk. And they get really good at sifting through the junk and spotting the gems. And never for a moment are they swayed by the crowd. They know how to blend in with the crowd for survival, for tactical advantage. And they know how to resist the group think of the crowd as well for tactical advantage and for survival. That is the essence of being tactical. That is the essence of that wonderful and glorious selfishness that we call being tactical. And it ties in with being a prepper and 2A and all that other stuff. So join me on this adventure into the northern reaches of New York State to get this coronavirus vaccine. Now, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, Tactical Gary, you're under 65. How are you getting the vaccine so early? I mean, yeah, a lot of people are eligible now at this point, but the waiting times are months. And when I registered, I had to wait. I can't get anything until the end of April or early May. Well, that is probably an indication that you are not tactical. If you are eligible and you are waiting more than a week or two, you're not tactical. Because what that means is you did not anticipate the registration website. You did not study it for weeks and tried to learn the patterns of when that information is updated. No IT system is truly real time. IT systems are updated in batches. Once you figure out that batch cycle, you know the perfect time to strike and hit that reload button and get that appointment time that you always dreamed of. Now, some people may think that giving yourself the position of maximum advantage means going outside of the rules to game the system. But many times doing so puts yourself into some longer term position of disadvantage. So as a rule of thumb, Tactical Gary operates within the rules of the system. And within those rules of the system, he games the system from the inside, never violating the rules, never violating the law. So come with me on this adventure. Let's go see what it's like to get a coronavirus vaccine after a year, more than a year actually, of this horrible pandemic, which has brought about so much suffering, but also rapid change. And where there is rapid change, there is opportunity. The last 13 months for Tactical Gary have been filled with both prepping, tacticalness, extreme amounts of skill, a little bit of luck, and a ton of taking advantage of opportunities that present themselves in a rapidly changing world. And yes, there have been moments of fear. I can tell you personally that my introduction to the pandemic occurred on January 24th of 2020. I had already, as had everyone I know, had heard stories about a virus in China, and I don't think any of us took it very seriously when the stories first popped up. I think it was early to mid-January of 2020. January 24th, however, is when I began to see those videos that had leaked out of Wuhan. Doctors, medical professionals in China breaking down in tears, talking directly into the camera saying, they are lying to you, this is much worse than you can imagine. 50,000, I remember one, I think it was one female doctor in China, she was saying 50,000 people have already died here. They're covering it up, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not speaking, who knows, but I've become very good at telling the difference between fake and real footage and coverage of events. And I could tell that what I was seeing in China on January 24th, I'll be honest, it scared the crap out of me. I couldn't sleep for days because I knew what the world was facing on January 24th, 2020. That is the moment it hit me like a bus. And I was up watching videos, looking at the coronavirus hashtag on Twitter. It was filled over the next week or two of people saying all sorts of terrifying things. Many of them turned out to be true. Many of those terrifying things were understatements. And in those early days, the world had not yet adjusted to this pandemic. No one was practicing social distance. No one knew of what was to come, and yet I did. And I had to live in this bizarre twilight world for almost 2 months until people really started to freak out and take it seriously and close stuff down. For well over a month and a half, I had to listen to politicians say, and that these are politicians on the right and on the left, saying don't wear a mask, it's just the flu. I had to put up with that crap while I was literally preparing for the end of the world, and pretty much everything that I predicted at that time came true. Not just about the pandemic, but about the unraveling of society, which continues on to this day. This is just the beginning. So, put yourself in Tactical Gary's shoes in late January of 2020. I knew the iceberg that we had just hit, and yet the Titanic had not yet sunk. But I knew in those early days, I got out of the stock market. I completely missed the crash, and I got back in at the lows, and I friggin' turned my net worth, I increased it by about 80%. But I couldn't sleep because I couldn't imagine the horror. I was waking up in the middle of the night in an absolute panic. And it takes a lot to panic, Tactical Gary. But I was. I knew it was about to come, and I pretty much nailed it prediction-wise. I tried to tell everybody, and they got quite mad at me and told me that I was wrong. But it is what it is. But you can only imagine my absolute horror. Even in those early days, by February 1st, February 2nd, I was thinking, based on what I was seeing in China, that the death rate was probably 5%. And there was no indication back then that it was any less lethal for children or adults or old people. I was assuming that it was 5% for everybody. I was also assuming that the chances of getting it within the next year were extremely high. I've been incredibly lucky because I didn't get it. My family did not get it. My immediate family, that is. Many members of my extended family got it, and some even were hospitalized, sadly. And I definitely know people who have died. I just passed a cop. I gotta be careful. Beautiful North Country in upstate New York State, where the King, Andrew Cuomo, rules supreme. If I'm lucky, I might catch a Bigfoot shot. There's probably a few Bigfoot in these hills. This area is known for very heavy UFO phenomenon. But do the math. If I was thinking that my entire family, let's say you have a family of 4, and the chance of everyone getting it the next year is 100%, and the death rate's 5%, and you don't think there's any difference between the ages, I was preparing very well for the likelihood that there was a 20% chance that someone in my immediate family was going to die, and the number of people in extended families and friends who would die would be very, very high. That ended up being the real situation ended up being better than what I was expecting in those early days. But it was still pretty bad. And it will continue to be bad. And it will continue to be very bad, in fact, for countries that don't have the vaccine at this time. I mean, I know right now the cases are dropping, but we can only imagine that this virus has a few moves left. I'm sure it's got a few tricks up its sleeve. Gotta be careful. There's a lot of cops, a lot of state troopers around these parts. A lot of Sasquatch too. Chances of seeing a trooper is higher than seeing a Sasquatch, but I gotta keep my eyes open for both. Do you ever wonder why the plural of foot is feet, and yet the plural of Bigfoot is not big feet? What is the plural of Bigfoot? Did 3 Bigfoots just ransack my shack in my backyard and steal all the stuff? Personally, I prefer the term Bigfoot as the plural of Bigfoot, as in there's Bigfoot up in these mountains. I refuse to say that the plural of Sasquatch is Sasquatches. To me, it's Sasquatch. Although you will occasionally hear me say Yetis. I guess you could even say that the tactical way, the way of the tactical life, is very much like this. As you will learn, the universe, the world that we live in, follows very clear and mysterious yet understandable rules and laws. There is a sort of rationality behind everything. Once you understand these principles and laws, you can use them to your tactical advantage, working within the system. Now, there is one group of people that are always trying to fight the laws and principles of the universe and trying to always go against everything. And everything has to be wrong, and they're always against it. Well, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But at the end of the day, they are letting the universe push them around just in the negative. There is the other group, the obvious group of normies. They always are pushed around by the universe. They never think to game it. They never think to question it. They never think to harness its power and use it for their own advantage. They are just pushed along like your uncle on the lazy river. So the tactical way is often the middle way. It is the way of the gray man. It is the way that understands the principles and laws and can use them to their tactical advantage, but at the same time does not get pushed around by those laws, either in the positive or in the negative sense. Well, here we are in the booming urban paradise that is Plattsburgh, New York. En route to the Plattsburgh International Airport. Vaccine site ahead. By appointment only.
Take the next right onto Arizona Avenue.
All right, let's get this.
Continue on Arizona Avenue for 1 mile.
Let's get this Pfizer vaccine scenario. Let's get this mRNA vaccine situation. This is pretty cool. I think they got the National Guard helping out. I appreciate their service. This is pretty cool the way they're doing it. I feel like I'm going into the car wash. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this operation. King Kulo has done a good job.
The injection, Tylenol and ibuprofen are fine for symptom relief.
Yep.
Some people are getting body aches, chills, flu-like symptoms.
Yep.
A little poke.
Is it a problem I have these massive deltoid muscles? All right, I don't want to break the shot. This is from my YouTube channel, Tactical Gary. Check it out. Stay tactical. So I'm very impressed by this operation here. We got National Guard helping out. After the shot, they make you park here for about 15 minutes. As you can see, there's ambulance here ready. If anyone has a sudden allergic reaction, after 15 minutes, you're free to go. Just a quick note, I really like Plattsburgh. They have a Yando's Big M. I mean, come on, that is great. Look at this, Yando's Big M. I love that store. Alright, so there you have it. Tactical Gary got his COVID vaccine. There's a lot of people I want to thank who made this possible. I want to thank the scientists who have been working tirelessly for the past 13, 14 months to make this all possible. I want to thank Bill Gates. Bill Gates not just for his work on the vaccine, but I want to thank Bill Gates for Windows 95 operating system. Still to this day, my favorite operating system ever made. I know that some people who are my subscribers think that Bill Gates just injected a computer chip in my arm, and I don't think that that's the case. I think that I'm feeling a little funny right now. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke, YouTube censors. That was a joke. I want to thank the heroes out there, the first responders, the doctors, all the scientists, and the preppers, and the tactical people. I mean, let's face it. And the ham radio workers, they're the real heroes as well. And in me, I'm one of the heroes. I'm kind of at the top of the list. So as I drive home in beautiful scenic New York, I also want to thank another big guy up there, King Andrew Cuomo, who I know he's under a little bit of trouble right now, but I do want to thank him for all that he has done to get this whole thing going. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't also say, you're welcome. You're welcome for all the tactical videos that I make and all the good information that I provide to you. My 108 subscribers. Actually, just make that 107. I just lost one. But my subscribers. My beloved subscribers. And if you're not one of those subscribers, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Don't hit the report button, please. Put a comment right next to Cord Beta and all my other commentators. Just one word to the wise. After you get your first shot, there's sort of this natural human tendency, a very stupid and doofus tendency, kind of a bogey tendency to think that now you're immune instantly. I think there's actually a statistical bump in cases after the vaccine because, well, in the days that follow your first shot, people put their guards down, and they haven't yet built immunity. The good news is that after a few weeks, the immunity builds up really good. But I would say that in your weeks following your first dose, just make a conscious effort to be really vigilant. And while I'll thank the scientists, you'll never hear me thank the science, because I never really like the expression the science, because when I hear the expression the science in my mind, it means all sorts of contradictory and opposing viewpoints arguing out different interpretations of the evidence. Very rarely in good scientific investigation and method do you see some sort of absolute 100% confirmation of truth. Science is a process of the elimination of error through following evidence, no matter where it takes you, even if it takes you in places that you really don't want it to go. Science is a scary and wonderful process and method. So I do thank God for the existence of science, but you'll never hear Tactical Gary say, the science says this or the science says that. Because most scientific truths are only approximations of the truth that will later be replaced with something better in the future. If you want to know the truth, you can study philosophy, mathematics, or you can study the way of the prepper, the prepper's path, the way of the tactical life, the Tao of the tactician, the righteous path of the rifleman, the canon of canned fish, the path of the prepper, the tactical way, the tactical life. Sorry, I completely forgot what I was talking about. There's only two things perfect in this universe: God and John Lovell's beard. That's it. Two things. Everything else is imperfect. All scientific investigations are imperfect. However, that is not reason to lose hope. Because science gives us a method in which, if we're all honest and rational, we can come to some sort of agreement. If we all just practice the scientific method in good faith the best that we can. And someday science will understand John Lovell's beard and how perfect it is. And in a way, science kind of kicks our ass sometimes. Science takes us places that we don't want to go. The history of humanity has seen this not just with science, but in mathematics, in all areas of thought, where if you go far enough, it starts to whoop your ass. It starts to tell you, nope, you're wrong. It's like a surfer who thinks that giant 50-foot wave isn't there. And then nature just comes and whoops our ass, knocks us over, hits us with that 50-foot wave. That's what science is like. That's what mathematics is like. We don't get to pick and choose. We don't get to choose reality. It's not subjective, it's objective. It's about as objective as that 50-foot wave. Maybe even more so. Maybe even more objective than that 50-foot wave. Maybe that 50-foot wave is an illusion. But the hard truth that nature hits us with, hits our minds with, now that's something very real. That's something we cannot escape. We cannot escape the truth. Even if it hurts our feelings, and even if it goes against our core belief systems. And that's what science really is about. It's about yielding to where the rational thought takes us. Even when we don't want to go there. I do think it's great that a lot of millennials and young people today think that science is cool. But I do worry about the day that a lot of scientific investigations start taking us places that maybe go against certain people's belief systems. And when that day comes, you're going to see people turn on science. People call science all sorts of names and burn scientific books. And I'm not looking forward to that day. Remember, folks, if there's one thing I've tried to stress in all of these videos, above all else, the most important thing to remember: stay tactical.